All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. All right, with the brothers here from the Great Minister Land Camp. All right, this is Ratazah.
Brother Kasha Quali.
All right, we here with a lesson through the Spirit. You know, but before we get started, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakodash. All right, the bonus to the apostles, the elders of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. All right, so in this particular video, all right, me and the brother, we're going to do a breakdown or do an overview, all right, on the book of 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter. All right, me and the brother Kasha Quali, we did a class here for our camp, maybe about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. You know, we went through it, so we figured through the Spirit, we just put it on wax and do a video. Put it out there for whoever wants to be edified or wants to look into it more in depth, because it's a lot of history. All right, it's a lot of history. It's a lot of research and digging. We just basically did what we did for the class, and brothers was edified. So Lord willing, you be edified as well. So we're gonna start from the top. Lord willing, we're gonna get through the whole chapter also. All right. Go ahead.
This is 2nd Esdras chapter 11 verse 1. It says, "Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads."
Right. So this eagle is referring to the Roman Empire. All right. Commonly, when you see the eagle in the scriptures, it's referring to Esau. All right, but primarily the Roman Empire, and the feathers represent 12 different Caesars. All right, or what they call the Julio-Claudio dynasty. All right, as well as the Flavian dynasty, or the Flavian era. Right, it was 12 different Caesars, and those 3 heads represent the first triumvirate. All right, which is gonna go more in depth into the history of it. All right, go ahead.
Come, verse 2. "And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth, and all the winds of the air blew on her, and were gathered together." Verse 3. "And I beheld, and out of her feathers there grew other contrary feathers, and they became little feathers and small."
Right. So basically, amongst these 12, because the small contrary feather, they're still amongst the 12, but they were small in the sense that they didn't rule as long. All right, or they didn't have that big of an impact compared to the other feathers that might have ruled longer, which is going to go into it. All right, and if you want to jump in with anything too,
Come, I'm just gonna get that word contrary
Okay.
real quick. The word contrary means opposite, opposed, at the opposite point or in the opposite direction. Extremely unlike. All right, most unlike. And it's like the elders say, it's going to continue to go into them contrary feathers, where you're going to understand why they're extremely unlike the other feathers. All right, so I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
Verse 4 says, "But her heads were at rest. The head in the midst was greater than the other, yet rested it with the residue."
Right, which this is going to, of course, the first triumvirate, which you mentioned, was really going to Julius Caesar. All right, which he's actually also a feather, even though he's amongst those 3 heads, he's also a feather. All right, and it said that the 3 heads was at rest because, as you read later on in the chapter, the 3 heads they're gonna reemerge. All right, which is going to reincarnation, but we'll explain it as we get close to that point. All right, you want to say something?
And the 3 heads are, like the elder mentioned, the first triumvirate. That's Julius, Craxus, and Pompey.
That's it. Yep. That's it. Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna read verse 4 again. "But her heads were at rest. The head in the midst was greater than the other, yet rested it with the residue." Verse 5. "Moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon earth, and over them that dwelt therein."
Right. So the Roman Empire was basically had control of the known world at that particular time.
Correct.
All right. Go ahead.
Verse 6. "And I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her, no, not one creature upon the earth."
Right. Because Rome was a mighty empire. Right. Goes to that, and if you want to get that, James I think 7 and
I'm already there.
yo, yeah, spirit. You see, Rome was a mighty empire. You had, you know, certain nations that would, behind closed doors, they would try to plot how they was going to come against Rome, and you know, they're talking, trying to conspire against Rome. But you know, but basically, when they stood toe to toe, when they stood toe to toe with the beast, so to speak, they couldn't do anything.
Right.
You know, because Rome was too powerful. All right, go ahead.
Right. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Oh, Salakia. Let me read. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Daniel 7:7. That's it.
Yep. So Rome had, it says, had with great iron teeth,
Right.
stamped the residue going to that mighty military. All right. And Rome was different because Rome was it wasn't established like the other kingdoms, whereas you had to, you know, if you wanted to be the king, you know, you had basically, it was based upon like your lineage, what they call it, like a monarchy, I guess. You know, like Babylon, the Medo-Persian Empire, even Greece. You know, those are like monarchies. You had to basically, you know, to come up in the line of a king, you had to be the king's son or be in that family line.
Israel's kind of really Israel's the same way.
Yep.
Usually when you read of course in the Kings and the Chronicles, usually after a king reigned, his son came next. In most instances.
Yep. But Rome, it basically, like, that's how we know America is Rome all over again, because you basically vote in. We're just gonna go into that too, which says it spoke from the midst of her body.
Right.
Going into the we kind of jumping the gun. We'll get it. But basically, Rome, you know, they voted in they Caesars or whatever, you know, or they came together and decided who's going. Basically, the Caesars, they, you know, wasn't like, you know, that their son came up after them, or their son and their son. It was just like, you know.
I got a quick precept.
Yep.
First Maccabees chapter 8 verse 15.
Yeah,
it says, moreover, how they had made of themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in the council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be always ordered. Verse 16, and that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all the country, and all that were obedient to that one, and that there, Salakia, it says, and that there was neither envy or emulation among them. So even that goes to show you.
That's it.
That's an explanation of America. I'm just speaking of today, but that's what Rome did as well. Pretty much there is a group of, you got the House of Representatives, what is like 290 elected members, something like that. That really pretty much consult amongst one another.
Right.
And you see the Republicans and Democrats always trying to get a seat into the House. So either the Republicans could be the dominating party, or the Democrats being the dominating party, and therefore that dictates who's going to be the next president, whether it be a Democrat or Republican. They consult one another on the behalf of the people.
That's right.
All right. So really, what America pushes as a democracy or whatever, that people can vote. That's not the case, because there's always a select heads of men, that pick who's going to be in the next seat, and that's what Rome did.
Yep.
All right. It didn't matter what line you came from. It didn't matter if you were Julius Caesar's son. It's who they think is the best fit for the next ruler.
That's right.
I'm gonna read. We're in verse. I'm gonna read verse 5 again.
Yeah.
This is 2 Esdras chapter 11 and 5. Moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon the earth, and over them that dwelt therein. Verse 6. I saw that all the things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her. No, not one creature upon the earth. Verse 7. And I beheld, and lo, the eagle arose upon her talons, and spake to her feathers, saying, Verse 8, watch not all at once. Sleep every one in his own place, and watch by course.
Right. In other words, the 12 Caesars, they didn't have any type of joint alliance, so to speak. They all ruled in a separate time. You know, the Most High raised up one, he fall. Raised up another one, he fall. He raised up another one, he reigned in his time, he fall. They was all like in their own lot. All right, that's what that verse means. Go ahead.
Verse 9, but let the heads be preserved for the last.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10.
Right, which is going back to the which would be the first triumvirate. All right, they was there in the beginning, and then they're going to come back again. All right, in the midst of this timeline of Caesars. All right, go ahead.
Verse 10, and I beheld, and lo, the voice went not out of her heads, but from the midst of her body.
Right, and like an elder brother brought out in the class, he brought out beautifully. You know, that was going to that Senate. You know, they read in what's that? You read
First Maccabees 8 and 15.
First Maccabees 8 and 15. All right, the Senate is who dictate who rules next. All right, so they was the ones that was ordering everything. That's why I said it said this voice came not from the heads, but from the midst of her body. The body represents the Senate. All right, that's a part of this ego structure, if you will. All right.
Verse 11, and I numbered her contrary feathers, and behold, there were 8 of them. Verse 12, and I looked, and behold, and I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose one feather, and reigned all over the earth.
Right.
Over all the earth.
It's just one feather is referring to Julius Caesar. Okay, which, you know, a lot of historians will say that the first Caesar was Augustus, because they say Julius Caesar was a dictator. Technically wasn't but he was a Caesar. All right, that's where they get the name, which Caesar was actually his real last name. All right, and that's where you get the term Caesar from Julius Caesar. He was the first. All right, and it said what? Read again.
It says, verse 12, and I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose one feather, and reigned over all the earth.
Right, Julius Caesar, meaning the known earth at that time. Right, because Rome didn't, you know, they didn't know about the Americas. They didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Right. They only ruled that known world at that time. Go ahead.
Verse 13, and so it was that when it rained, though end of it came, and the place thereof appeared no more, so the next following stood up and reigned and had a great time.
Right, so after he reigned for his period of time, he died, and then the next one came up, all right, and said he ruled for a great time. This would be Augustus Caesar.
Correct.
All right, which among these 12, he ruled the longest, all right, which, again, some scholars will say, like on Wikipedia, it would say, what, 40, I think it says 40 years, but a lot of other sources will tell you, what, 44 years, 45, damn near close to 50 years, man. This guy was in power, all right? So all the scriptures giving you the starting point, and it's giving you the timeline going all the way towards the end, all right? So this next Caesar would be Augustus Caesar, okay? Which, like we brought out, this was the Caesar that was in power during the time of Yahweh Shai, all right?
All right.
Yeah, if you want to, you might as well.
This is Luke chapter 2. I'll start at verse 1. This is Luke chapter 2 and 1. It says, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that the whole world should be taxed. That goes to show you the time frame when Yahweh Shai came, and that goes to show you the validity of the scriptures, showing that Augustus Caesar was actually written about in the scripts.
That's right.
All right, that shows you that, because a lot of people will say the scripts aren't real, make believe, but there's actual real people such as Caesar Augustus.
Exactly.
You can read the second verse in here. It speaks about a Cyrenius. You can look that individual up because Cyrenius is the title. Also, it speaks about Felix, Agrippa. There's a lot of names. Alexander the Great speaks about King Philip II, which was Alexander the Great's father. All right, so this proves to you that Caesar Augustus was during the time of Yahweh Shai.
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
So it says, verse 14, in it, 2nd Esdras 11 and 14, and it happened that when it rained, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Then came there a voice unto it, and said, Hear thou that hast borne rule over the earth so long, this I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more, verse 17, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof.
Right, and that's proof. That's pinpoint facts. Right, none of these Caesars reigned as long as Augustus Caesar did, man. Neither to the halftime. All right, which is gonna go into that in the following Caesars. Gonna mention him briefly. You have something? Okay. I mean, yeah.
I'll just bring it. This is something real quick because what we're going into, whenever the script in here, I'll read it again. Starting at verse 14, it says, "And it happened that when it rained, the end of it came also." The scripts are speaking in dark sayings. It's not going to specifically tell you. You got to do your own diligent studies.
Exactly.
When it says it, that's speaking about an individual, which is Augustus. I just wanted to bring this out real quick in the book of Proverbs, chapter 1. It says, I'll just read it swiftly. Proverbs 1 and 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give stability to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. All right, to understand a proverb, and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. Correct. So everything from verses 1 through 5 is what you need to do to understand the proverb and the dark saying.
Right.
Yes, even the little word "it" in the script is a dark saying. Because what is that "it"? Of course, which the elder just broke down, that it is Augustus. So when you read this, you can almost, kind of read it as in, it says, "And it happened that it rained," or that when Augustus reigned. So you can understand the scripts a little better.
That's right.
All right. So verse 16, no, 17.
Okay.
2nd Esdras 11 and 17. There shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof. Verse 18. Then arose the third and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also.
Right. So according to the timeline, that would be Tiberius. All right. Tiberius Caesar, which according to Wikipedia, he ruled for 22 years. All right. So that was roughly half the time as Augustus. You see. So the So the scriptures is on point, man. Prophecy is pinpoint accuracy, man. You would say what? Esdras lived what? I think he got this dream or vision is that about 500, 600 years, something like that?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think Ezra.
I can't remember the exact. Yeah.
Ezra was around the time, during the time of the. Matter of fact, it was about like, he probably got it around like 587, 597 BC, during the time of Cyrus. That was pretty much because he was during the time of the transition,
right,
between the Chaldean Babylonians and the so about 559 BC. All right, because he was during the time of Cyrus as well.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So he got this prophecy way before the Roman Empire came on the scene, man.
Way before.
You know. So this is how you know the scriptures is real, man. This ain't no fairy tale like brothers going to, man. This ain't no just made up characters and nah, man. This is real. It's real life history, man.
Correct.
You know. Yeah. Precept.
No, just to give some more
Okay.
insight on the time frame, because he did this way before. Because he even did this way before the Greeks. Because when you start reading in First Maccabees, the First Maccabees starts around the First Persian War, which was 336 BC. So that's a smooth, almost over 200 years prior to the Greeks that he was prophesying about the Romans. You see? You got it.
Yeah. I ain't had nothing. You can continue
Okay.
on with it. Yeah.
This is 2nd Esdras chapter 11 and 19. It says, "So went it with all the residue, one after another, as that everyone reigned, and then appeared no more." Verse 20. "Then I beheld, and lo, in process of time, the feathers that followed stood up upon the right side, that they might rule also. In some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more."
Right. We're just gonna go into the these particular feathers or Caesars that rule, but they only rule for a short period of time. They didn't have a long duration, like the other Caesars. All right, which we're going to get into that, and I got some history here I'm going to read as well. But you go ahead.
I'm gonna reread 2nd Esdras 11 and 3. It says, "And I beheld, and out of her feathers there grew other contrary feathers, and they became little feathers and small." Verse 21, going back to verse 21, "And for some of them were set up, but ruled not." Verse 22, "After this I looked, and behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers."
Right. Which basically means when Esdras got this dream or vision, he basically saw the whole timeline play out. All right. When it says he saw the 12 feathers appear no more, he's seen the whole vision, and it tells you that. We jump back up to what's that verse 19. So I went and saw the. Well, yeah. You read it again.
Verse 19, "So went with all the residue, one after another, as that everyone reigned, and then appeared no more."
Right, all the residue is all the remaining feathers. Because the last one they mentioned before that was Tiberius, which was the third. So all the residue that appeared no more. That's when it says I seen the 12 appear no more. He's seen the whole prophecy. All right, but it's going to actually go back and get more into detail with the remaining feathers. All right, go ahead.
Verse 23, "And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads that rested, and 6 little wings."
Right.
Verse 24.
But remember, the 3 heads we read earlier in the chapter, where it says the 3 heads rested, which we went into. That was Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. All right, but they actually came back within the midst of his line later on. All right, go ahead.
Verse 24, "Then saw I also that 2 little feathers divided themselves from the 6, and remained under the head that was upon the right side, for the 4 continued in their place."
Right. So now when you read on, it's going to actually go into the history of these feathers that divided themselves and the ones that remain. It's going to go into that span of history. All right, go ahead.
Verse 25, "And I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set up themselves and to have rule." Verse 26, "And I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but shortly appeared no more."
Right. So what this is going into is a time within this timeline, which scholars call the year of the 4 emperors. All right. This is the beginning stages of it. All right. I got it pulled up on my laptop here. All right. I'll just read the excerpt they got here. It says the year of the 4 emperors, which is 69 AD, and this is the year of the 4 emperors of Wikipedia. It says the year of the 4 emperors, 69 AD, was a period in the history of the Roman Empire in which 4 emperors ruled in succession. All right, and it names them: Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian. It says the suicide of Emperor Nero, all right, which is more likely DJ Trump. Okay. It says the suicide of Emperor Nero in 68 AD was followed by a brief period of civil war. So it's based the first Roman civil war since Mark Antony's death in 30 BC. So after Nero died, basically like it was like a fight for the throne, so to speak. You know, the throne was like basically up for grabs. You know, so you had a lot of conspiracy, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of conspiring and setting this guy up and getting him killed, and
Right.
you know he ruling for damn 2 months, and then he getting knocked off.
Right.
It was all out chaos, man. All right, and which the scripture's gonna go into that. All right, do you have anything?
Nah.
Okay, you go back to what was that
Verse
verse?
26.
Yep.
All right, say Esdras 11 and 26. And I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but shortly it appeared no more.
Right. So this one that was set up is referring to Galba. All right, which he again according to Wikipedia, he came into power June 8th, 68 AD. All right, he only ruled for 7 months. So that's the when it says he appeared for a short time. That's what that's referring to. All right, he only the Caesar for
7 months.
7 months, man.
Right.
You know. Go ahead.
Verse 27. And the second was sooner away than the first.
Right. So the second one that came is a Caesar by the name of Otho. All right, and it said he fell away sooner. Now again, according to Wikipedia, he only ruled for 3 months. All right, so you thought 7 months was short. Well, not the next one after him gonna rule even shorter, man. 3 months. All right, and then he got knocked off.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Verse 28. And I beheld, and lo, the two that remained thought also in themselves to reign.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 29. And when they so thought, behold, there awakened one of the heads that were at rest, namely it that was in the midst.
Right.
For that was greater than the two other heads.
Mm-hmm. Right. So remember we said that you know those 3 heads were going to basically come back. They was resting for a while, and then they came back. What this is referring to is Vespasian.
Right.
All right. Vespasian was next to come after Galba, Otho, and the other one was Vitellius. All right. He came up after them. He ended up basically taking over. You know, and he got what's gonna go into it. But he got 2 of these. The prior seasons, he got 2 of them killed.
Right.
All right, he ended up coming in their stead. And that's how you got the Flavian dynasty. All right.
Correct.
And the reason why it's basically the 3 heads coming back because you got Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian.
Right.
You know, that was that triumvirate coming back. Even though they didn't rule at the same time, you know, Vespasian ruled his time. I think Titus ruled next, and Domitian. But they was Vespasian, Titus, Domitian was his 2 sons. So they was always in alliance and in agreement with each other. They never go against each other. Okay, so that was that triumvirate coming back in that you know, back in the reincarnation, so to speak, man. You know, you have anything?
Wow.
Okay, let's see. I think that was. All right, yeah, you go ahead.
Come. Verse 30, it says, and then I saw that 2 other heads were joined with it.
Right, those 2 other heads, like I said, I kind of jumped the gun. 2 other heads was just tight. You start getting excited.
Right.
You know, the 2 other heads that were joined with Vespasian would be Titus and Domitian. Right, those are 2 sons. And they formed what's called the Flavian dynasty. Which, if you look at the word, like we went into, the word Flavian, all right, it means basically blonde hair or yellow hair. See right there, that's how you know they Esau, man, and they suffer from leprosy. All right, but that's in the scriptures, man. You know, go ahead.
It says, yeah, Salaki, I just had thought of something.
Oh yeah, nah, whatever you got, bro.
I'm gonna bring out something because you said Flavian. It means blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes sense. It makes complete sense.
Let's see.
This is Genesis chapter 36, verse 8. It says, "Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir." Esau is Edom. When you look up the word Seir, it means hair as well.
Woo.
All right. So it makes sense that Flavian would be that dynasty that would come back to do. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna jump the gun
Yeah.
either. All right, because we're gonna actually get into that.
And then just for edification's sake, just in case a nigga click on the video, man, them niggas lying, man. Flavius don't mean yellow hair. Them niggas lying. All right, this is Flavius. Right, you type in Flavius on the edomonline.com website. This is Flavius, a proper name from Latin Flavius, a Roman gens, I guess that's general, I guess, a Roman gens name related to Flavius, golden, yellow, blonde, and probably originally meaning yellow-haired. So there you go. All right.
Yep.
So.
There's yellow hair.
Yellow. Yep.
And Mount Seir, or how you say Seir in Hebrew is Sha'ar, if I'm saying that correctly. Which means shaggy hair. So let's see, verse 31. If you want me to continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Second Esdras chapter 11 and 31. And behold, the head was turned with them that were with it, and did eat up the two feathers under the wing that would have reigned.
Right. So they Vespasian killed two of the prior Caesars. That was before him, man. And he ended up, then the Flavian dynasty started. Because prior to him, like I said, I think that's called the scholars call it the Julio-Claudian dynasty. All right, you go from Julius Caesar to who's that? Okay, actually from Julius Caesar to Nero, that's what they call the Julio-Claudian dynasty, and then you got the year of the four emperors and the Flavian dynasty. They kind of together, from Galba to Domitian. All right, so he said the two heads, so they ate the other two feathers. All right, which is two Caesars. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 32, but this head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth with much oppression.
Right, yeah, so Vespasian, that's talking about Vespasian in the Flavian dynasty. They was putting hell on Jake, man. You know, that's where you get 70 AD.
Right, that's what I was about to say.
Oh, that's spirit.
Earlier, but you
That's spirit, that's spirit,
yeah. I
yep.
don't want to jump the gun.
Yep, that's spirit. Well, matter of fact, since we mentioned that, I'm gonna just type in. I know the apostles they had went into it as well about the Ark of Titus.
Right.
Which again, that's how you know that this ain't no fairy tale, man. This is history for you non-believers out there. All right, so it said that last verse said they what it say they would.
So verse 32 again.
Yep.
But this head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule in it over all those that dwell upon the earth with much oppression.
Right. Yeah, so much oppression. Vespasian and his sons, they was putting hell not only on the known earth at that time, but mainly our people, man, Jake. All right, you just type in the Ark of Titus, all right, and this was a monument that they built for that particular time, all right? This is the Ark of Titus is a 1st century AD honorific ark or arch located in Via Scira, Rome, just the southeast of the Roman Forum, all right? Let's see, it was constructed in 81 AD by Emperor Domitian, all right? Shortly after the death of his older brother Titus, to commemorate Titus's official defecation, if I'm saying it right, or consecratio, all right, whatever it says, in the victory of Titus, together with their father, all right, which he's the head. This is Vespasian over the Jewish rebellion in Judea, right, which that was our people. Right, so was the Judah, Benjamin, Levi, because they was in the land at that time. It says the ark contains panels depicting the triumphal procession celebrated in 71 AD after the Roman victory, culminating in the fall of Jerusalem, and provides one of the few contemporary depictions of artifacts of Herod's temple. It said it began. It's like it became a symbol of Jewish diaspora, and the menorah depicted on the ark served as a model for the menorah used as the emblem of the state of Israel. You know, yeah. So they show you on there. They show you them on there spoiling. They carrying the menorah. They basically showing them ransacking the temple, man. You know, that was something built to basically show the remembrance of our people getting taken down by them damn Romans.
Right.
You know, you have anything?
Yeah.
You want to add or say?
I know a lot of brothers that came to Atlanta, man. We have pretty much an ark. Well, Esau.
Yeah.
Esau has an ark of Titus in the middle of downtown, pretty much. So it's the same exact structure, and in that area is called Atlantic Station. And a lot of Jake live over there. So it's just like a stamp, just like a slap in the face every day when you drive past that. And Jake would just sit there and take a picture in front of you, not knowing what the hell it is.
Don't know what the hell, exactly.
But that is a replica Ark of Titus in the middle of Atlanta.
That's right.
And then I had this real quick.
Yeah, got it.
Since we mentioned 70 AD, Revelation 12 and 13, I'm going to read it swiftly.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
And when the dragon saw that that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman, which brought forth the man-child, correct? So the woman would be Israel. That dragon is Esau. This is speaking about 70 AD. Verse 14, and the woman, Salakia, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place. All right? It says, there is, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. Verse 15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So that water that he sent out, that was a representation of a flood, was the troops in the army that Esau sent out to the woman, which would be Israel.
Yep.
All right, according to Jeremiah 6:2, why the scriptures continue to say woman. I'm just gonna get it real quick, just a precept.
I got a precept too to the you read about the flood. But you go ahead.
Okay, so Jeremiah 6:2, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. You got it, Elder?
Yep. Because can you read that verse again? You read Revelation 12?
12 and 15?
I think so, yeah.
Revelation 12 and 15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
Right, because the old breakdown, which the apostles, they corrected, the old breakdown was, that's Esau, his lies. You know, the flood represents the lies. Yeah, it was the lie. You know, Esau cast out the lies to see our people. But that was the old breakdown. That's really talking about, like you said, those troops. Now this is a precept to back that up. This is Isaiah 17 and 13. It says, the nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but the Most High shall rebuke them. And that's talking about right now, because back then the Lord allowed the Esau to basically get the upper hand on us, so to speak, because we had to go into slavery. We had to fall away and go through that that prophecy, so to speak. But in this time, when Esau come with them troops, all right, the Most High going to lift up a standard for his elect.
Right.
But the point is, floods is a metaphor for like military, the army, or troops coming. It says 13 again, the nation shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but the Most High shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. And that's a future prophecy talking about in these times, man.
Right.
Because Esau going to try to rush, try to kick in doors and grab brothers up, but little do they know, man, brothers going to get spiritual power.
Right.
All right, or the Lord will do something where they, I don't know, man. They might start bugging out, catch Caesars, and the guns might jam.
Right.
And you blink your eye, you somewhere in Cali at Mike Aller house. I don't know,
With Dawah.
Yeah, with the brother Dawah, man. Or whatever, man. Or you in Dallas or whatever. So the Lord gonna lift up standards, man, for brothers, man. But the point of that was just to show that that flow is talking about those Roman soldiers and troops,
God.
Yeah.
It says, verse 16, and the earth helped the woman. Right. just a quick
Yep.
just a quick synopsis of that. It says the earth helped the woman. That goes when you read that book, 10 book to Babylon and 10
Babylon
book
too. Yep. Yep.
It talks about how 1 million or so Israelites fled out of Judea during that time when they came down to pretty much, take over when Vespasian and Titus came down to take it over. So the earth helped the woman. That goes back to her getting the wings, getting the hell up out of there, man. Going over to Africa or Egypt.
Yep.
All right. It says, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have testimony of Yahushua Mashiach. This was all Vespasian, and mainly it was the work of Titus in 70 AD. See, because that's why there's no other reason why Domitian would have made that Ark of Titus to commemorate
the
work of Titus, even though Vespasian gave the order. It even goes back, which y'all can look up because we're going through this. Which y'all can look up a lot of the history, but one part of the history is Vespasian was a general under Nero, and Nero gave Vespasian an order in 61 AD to go start the Jewish pretty much war against Rome. So pretty much he just finished it in 69, 70 AD. But Titus was,
and that's a good point because brought back to memory. Back in 2 Esdras 11, I think that was verse. This is the head that was in the midst.
Oh yeah.
You remember we went into that?
Right.
Yeah, because matter of fact, reread it.
Come, 2 Esdras 11 and 29, and when they so thought, behold, there awakened one of the heads that were at rest, namely, it that was in the midst.
Right. So you established that was Vespasian, or Julius Caesar coming back in reincarnation as Vespasian, but it said that he was in the midst, right? Like Kashakwala brought out beautifully how basically Vespasian, he was a general under Nero. So Vespasian, like literally, he was in the midst. He was always around. Basically, since before a lot of these Caesars came about, he was always in the midst. All right. So even that in itself is like the Lord threw like a little dark saying in there.
Right.
Cause you'll read that and be like, oh, he in the midst, but okay. But no, like literally, he was in the midst the whole time throughout this, this whole timeline. He was always there. Scoping out and looking, scheming, and which is crazy. When we brought out the word, the name Vespasian means wasp.
Oh yeah.
All right, and what does a wasp do? It sting. He was buzzing around, so to speak, waiting for the perfect time to sting, man. So that head was always in the midst. Vespasian, man. All right, you have something?
Right, because I think one of the brothers in the class, he said that wasp also means like wisdom or wise.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Brothers was bringing out some points. I can't.
But that y'all can look that up.
Yeah.
But hey, man, how he schemed, he did it wisely. We'll go back to verse 32, 2nd Esdras 11 and 32. But this head put the whole earth in fear and bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth with much oppression, and it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been. Verse 33, and after this I beheld, and lo, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings. Verse 34, but there remained the two heads, which also in the like sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein. Right. So that Vespasian died, and his two sons came up after him. All right. It was last of the Flavian dynasty. Right. Go ahead. Verse 35. And I behold, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it that was upon the left. Side. Right. Basically, essentially, what that means is basically the Flavian dynasty fell. You had Vespasian. You had Titus and Domitian.
after them two reigned, that was it. That's what it means when it said the one on the right devoured the one on the left. Meaning they didn't necessarily kill each other. It just means that the dynasty had collapsed. It was ended after that. You know. Then I think after them, I forgot what come next. Is it Nerva? All right, which Pastor Hart say history. So he was a Jake. You know, that's when Jake started kind of getting up in there. You know, but when it says the one devoured the one on the left, basically the Flavian dynasty ended. All right, and it's really the last. That's really the last of the timeline that this chapter is going into. All right, go ahead.
Verse 36. Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. Verse 37. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and said.
Right, and that lion is referring to Yahweh Shai. All right, which goes into that, which we didn't really touch chapter 12 in this video, which we could have. It goes hand in hand, but that's really like another video. Mm-hmm. But when you go to chapter 12, it pretty much names that.
You want me to read it for you?
Yeah, just real quick. I think it's 12 and
31.
12 and 30. Okay. Yep.
I'll start at 30.
Yep, you got it.
This is second Esdras chapter 12 and 30. Nah, you're right. I'm gonna start 31.
Okay.
Verse 31. And the lion whom thou sawest rising out of the wood, and warning and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness, with all the words which thou hast heard. Verse 32. This is the anointed, which the highest hath kept for them, and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them, and he shall upbraid them with their cruelty.
Right. Yep, that's talking about Yahweh Shai. You know, that lion, as it was roaring chased out of the wood, I think it said. Mm-hmm. All right, so there you have it. You know, so go ahead, go back to the...
Second Esdras chapter 11, verse 38. Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee. Verse 39. Art not thou... I chuckle at this verse every time. Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in the world, in my world? I'm gonna reread that. Verse 39. Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? Verse 40. And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. Verse 41. For the earth hast thou now judged with truth. Verse 42. For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit.
Right, which the meek and the peaceable, who was that? That's the nation of Israel, Jake. All right, which we went into the history of how the Romans was doing that. And the peak of that at that time was what? Through the Flavian dynasty. That's why it mentioned that when you read up, it said this head had control over the earth with much oppression, roughly paraphrasing. You know, go ahead.
It says, verse 42 again. For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. Right.
Meaning what? They came into Jerusalem and they destroyed it. Right. Destroyed the walls, they destroyed the temple, ransacked. We brought the history out in the Ark of Titus. Right. Like Kosh Parler said, they got them all erected all over Atlanta. It was like, damn, every turn is a damn ark. Right. You know? They always got it up where Jake is at, man. You know?
Right. And that goes to show you that America got to be Babylon.
Yep.
Babylon the Great. Because, Rome is America as well. Because the last time the wall in the temple were both destroyed, before 70 AD, was back during the Babylonians. Now, when you read about the Greeks, it said that they defiled the temple. They didn't necessarily destroy the walls
Right.
thereof. You
Right.
see? But when the Romans came, they destroyed the temple, they destroyed the wall, they burned it down, everything. Same thing with the ancient Babylons. That's how you know America's Babylon the Great, because they destroyed the temple and the wall. All right? The Persians let us rebuild it. You go, and then you go back. Well, you read the book of. Well, you read 2 Chronicles, the 36th chapter, and it shows the destruction of everything, which was the walls, the temple, everything from the Babylonians. Then you read the book of Ezra in the Bible, and that goes into the building of the temple again. And then you go to the book of Nehemiah, which is the building of the wall again. It wasn't destroyed again until the Romans came. That's how you know this is America gotta be the same thing, man. All right. So verse 43, it says, "Therefore is thy wrongful deal, Salakia." Second Esdras 11:43. "Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty." It says, "The highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and the abominations are fulfilled."
Right. Now remember, the subject matter is still these 12 feathers.
That's it.
You know, it's referring to this particular timeline. Because you would read this and think, this guy's talking about America. Which I see how you can apply it. Like we just said, America is Rome reincarnated.
Right.
But for the, like Christians say, you gotta read it within the context.
Right.
The context, the context of it is still these 12 feathers at the end of this particular era. All right, these are the proud times that he's speaking about here. All right, you have something?
Just something real quick.
You got it.
Because it says, verse 43, it says, "Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up to the highest, and thy pride into the mighty." This is Obadiah, the 4th verse. It says, "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord." I'm just applying that script,
right?
Because it shows the pride. Well, when you go into verse 3, it talks about the pride of thine heart. It shows that it's ultimately came up to the Lord, and he notices it, and he's going to bring it down. All right, not giving a full breakdown of that Obadiah. I'm just applying it.
Right.
Verse 44 again. It says, "The highest," 2 Esdras 11:44. 11:44. "The highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled." Verse 45. "And therefore appear no more thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body."
Right. So the Lord, basically, like I said, that era of the wicked ass Edomite Caesars came to an end. They appeared no more. And like we said, after that, that's where you get Jake. All right, which I was pulling up as you was reading that. Like you said, after Domitian, you get Nerva, which he was that was the start of what they call the 5 good emperors, which was Jake's. Titus, Nerva. Let me see, where we at? Yeah, Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. Which I know a lot of brothers familiar with Marcus Aurelius, with the whole, Stoic, the Stoic quotes and stuff like that. All right, those are Jakes. You go ahead.
Right. It says, verse 46, "That all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her."
That's right. So yeah, man, that was that was it. Did you have anything else? Or? Yeah, so that was it, man. We're gonna end it off there. Lord willing, you was edified. Of course, like we said in the beginning of the video, you know, if you have the time, of course, you could look into it more yourself. Look up the history of these different seasons and the timeline and different wars and stuff. All right, you can get more in depth with it. You know, we just wanted, like I said, we wanted to do this presentation or this video. That, like I said, this was a class, but we wanted to, you know, put it on wax, so to speak, for, you know, brothers and sisters out there that want to watch. So, you know, with that, we're going to sign off. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakodash. All right, the bonus to the apostles, elders of great millstone. Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Lord willing, to the next video. Shalom.
Shalom.